Happy Saturday morning to you. It is October 15th, 2022. The woodpeckers are pecking at the trees. It looks like we're doing a little moonlighting here at the Worthington Diamond Recovery Plant. Woodpeckers aren't getting along. Well, everything is quiet and you think, well, what's going on? We haven't done a video. Oh my, there's a woodpecker right there. See him? He's a pileated woodpecker. Just flew over. Yeah, I've seen a lot of red-headed woodpeckers, but this is a pileated woodpecker. And surprise visit. Well, anyhow, the birds are active this morning. Well, back to what I was going to talk about. You haven't heard about me running the Worthington Diamond Recovery Plant for a while, and the reason is there's really no news. It's the same thing over and over. Like Diamond David Anderson said last night, diamond mining is just dig, wash, and repeat. So there's not a lot of action or nothing new there. He was quoting famous diamond finder Belly Bob Horton. I mean Bob Horton. Hey, there's that pileated woodpecker again. See him up there? Whoop. There he goes, flying away. Anyhow, they have been absolutely stripping the bark off of this dead pine tree, and it all falls right down here where I'm trying to recover diamonds. They've made an absolute mess. They're looking for bugs. This pine tree died. I hate that. And I'm going to have to cut it down, and it's right here by the plant, but I'm going to wait until after mining season, and we'll have to remove this platform that holds our pumps and drop the tree in that direction, because if we go this way, we'll get power lines. If we go this way, we'll hit the diamond recovery plant. And if we go in my direction, well, I'm standing here. Well, no, if we go this direction, there's a bunch of trees. So anyhow, we'll have to take the mirror off and cut this tree down. But that's another project. Right now, back to what I'm talking about. We have been running the diamond recovery plant this week, every week. We ran it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We were going to run it again today, which is Saturday, but yesterday afternoon I was running the plant because I wanted to wash out some of these buckets. See, I've emptied these and many more buckets. Excuse me, I wanted to wash through this material. This is our oversized rock that built up. Our rock crusher right there that sits on top of the gravel pump broke down and was in the machine shop for a month. We wanted to keep running, so I just stockpiled all the oversized gravel and thought, well, I'll run it some other time. So in the mornings we run the plant and run ore through it that Mac brings down, and then in the afternoon I like to crank up the plant and run some of this through and crush it and begin to get rid of this backlog of ore. Yesterday afternoon I was here feeding some buckets in, and I was standing here. This is my place where I work. I stand here and I watch for rocks coming down out of this lower scrubber trommel, and I pick out jaspers and things that I don't need to crush them. There's no diamond in it, so I'm tossing out little pieces of root or twigs and jaspers, throwing them on the ground. And then all of a sudden I got wet. Water was spraying on my legs, so I thought, okay, what's going on? Where is the water coming from? And it was coming from the bottom of the gravel pump here. So I shut it off. I disconnected everything. That's that flange. I undid the flange. That's the hose that pumps it back up into the top. And I thought, what is wrong with the gravel pump? And then I found a hole in the side of the housing for the gravel pump. I thought, oh no, what am I gonna do? I thought, I've got to get this fixed and running again. And let me get over here just a second. So I thought, the housing is the very bottom piece. And I thought, how am I gonna get to it? Do you have to start at the top and take everything apart, and then the last piece is what you want? And I thought, well, I've got to take it off. I called a friend to see if maybe he would do a service call, come here and fix it. And he says, no, you have to take it off. It's got to be put on a workbench and fixed. And I said, okay, how am I going to take it off? Well, I got to look, and it was easy. Few things are easy in life, but this was easy. So I loosened this bolt, and I loosened this other bolt, and the housing dropped off. It was that easy to get it off. And here's why it was spraying water. I think the impeller must have been spinning around through a hard rock. You know, one of the hard jaspers got past me and got down in the pump and blew it out the side. So I got a hole in the side, and I did find that piece. You would think, oh, no problem. Take it to a welder. He can just weld it all back together. The problem is, this is cast iron. And most cast iron you can't weld. You might be able to braze it. But anyhow, this pump housing is lined with rubber. Everywhere except right here where the rubber's worn off and coming off. And I guess it was getting thin on the side here too. And maybe that's how it blew a hole through the cast iron. Anyway, wish I had a spare, but this came from South Africa, and no, I don't have a spare. So I called my friend Les Ulrich, Hungarian-American, that is going to fix this for me. He said just bring it by, so I'm going to drop it by this afternoon and see what he can do. But if he can fix this, patch that to where it no longer leaks, I'm going to get like a quart of liquid rubber, more or less, Flex Seal, and pour in here and fill this up where it's missing all that rubber. And then I'll also have to rubberize there where he welds or patches or whatever he does to fix that. But anyhow, that's the problems. I wonder if you know how a pump works. A pump is kind of like a fan. It has blades in it that turn, and instead of moving air, you're moving water. Well, this is the impeller right here, and it turns. But a fan turns and pushes the air like that. This one actually turns backwards of what you would think, and it flings the gravel out, because if it threw it like a fan would, the gravel would hang up in it. But this is kind of backwards the way the fins are designed. But still, so the gravel drops down through the middle, and it hits these spinning fins in there, and it throws them up against the side, and they shoot out that way. Now, you can't just pump gravel, so we put water in with it. And originally, I had 2 1.25-inch pipes feeding. I'll show you this real quick. I had this pipe, and this other pipe was up here, and I had 2.25-inch pipes feeding this pump, and the pump discharge was 1.25 inches. Well, you have 2.25-inch water lines. Oh, you can kind of see the fins in there. See how they turn like that, and pump that. Anyway, if you have 2.25-inch water lines feeding it, and you have gravel coming into it, then 1.25-inch hose is not going to handle all that volume. So I cut it back and only had 1 pipe feeding it, because I needed the water elsewhere anyhow. So I diverted this water to the spray bar where I needed it. Well, then this didn't have enough water, and it would cavitate And when it would get too low on water, then it would plug up and it was a problem. So it needed a little more water, but it didn't need 1.25 inches. So I had this piping that I've redone recently. I was needing, I was needing water inside here in this trommel scrubber. So I routed this pipe around from our fresh water supply, and I put those 2 3/4 outlets in there, and I also ran a 3/4 outlet here, which I could regulate with that valve how much flow I had on it, and that helps wash this gravel on down into the gravel pump. So anyway, I was needing more water for this pump, so I just cut into that a couple of days ago and added this other line, and I also put a 3/4 ball valve in it so I could regulate how much water goes into the pump. And it seems like wide open is just perfect. So 1.25 inch feed and a 3/4 feed plus the gravel, we have enough water for the gravel pump, and everything was working really smooth. And then it blew a rock through the side of the housing. But that's just life, and that's just diamond mining. You got to fix stuff. So we will try to get up and running again here soon. And thanks for joining me for this most recent update at Southwest Arkansas's Worthington Diamond Recovery Plant.